Welcome to the Kit Taylor Talk Show. I'm your host, Kittrick Taylor. We have a great show planned for you today. We have a lady that's going to come on and talk about dementia with her mom. So without further ado, let's bring on Miss Lillian Granger. How you doing, Lillian? You there?
I'm blessed. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you first of all for taking your time out to come on the show, because you didn't have to do it, and I thank you for wanting to help these millions of Americans that are going to be listening to your story. So we're here to talk about your mom, and we talked. So your mom, what was she diagnosed with?
Dementia.
Dementia. Okay. Okay, that's good. So when was she diagnosed, and share how you felt at the time.
Well, um, she passed going on 4 years now. So when she was 95, they diagnosed her. She died at the age of 100.
Wow. Well, that's bittersweet. Because she lived to be 100, and only you guys know. Sure, she lived a great life, but to be diagnosed, that's something. Because we've been talking about dementia for these segments and these episodes for the last 4 months actually. And when I talked with you, you told me about the story. You have a marvelous story, which we're going to get right into. So when she was diagnosed, what were your steps? And first of all, let's talk about some early signs of when you and I believe you said your sister um, became notice of that. Talk about the signs that you kind of got involved with.
Very forgetful when I would go visit her. Sometimes she didn't know my name. She would call me my niece's name, which she also lived with my sister. So it was very difficult, being honest. Sometimes I would say, Mom, you don't remember who I am? And she would have to think a little bit, and then she'll remember, oh, Lily, I'm getting up in age. I'm very forgetful, but I realized that was a part of the illness, being forgetful.
Okay, now did it take you and your sister a long time to realize, okay, after she kept calling you different names, how did you respond? Because, she probably kept doing it, but how long was it where you guys said, okay, our mom is this or something going on with mom? How long did it actually take you guys to say, okay, let's just allow it to happen and just work with her?
Well, she had it like I said, 5 years of taking to the doctor. She had it 5 years before she died. Like I said, December, it would be 4 years that she have died. So before then, before we take her to the doctor, as personally as her daughter, I can tell that my mom wasn't the same person, because she would start talking about her parents, which have died years and years ago. So I knew, I have a friend that's a nurse, and I would tell her what my mom was going through. And she would tell me, you guys need to take your mom to the doctor, because that sounds like an early stage of dementia and Alzheimer's. So we did.
Okay. And then after you did that, the doctor said, yes, it was dementia. So what took place after that? So did that change? First of all, were you living with your mom and sister living with mom, or how was the dynamics with that? And
She,
then we'll go from there.
she was living with my brother at first, and then, as they can tell that something was wrong with my mom, she moved in with my sister and her family.
Okay. So you were not there during the duration, but you were pretty much there via phone call. You went down there to help caregive. So
Yeah.
explain that. Now she has it. You got your early signs. The doctor gave you the diagnosis. So explain now in a caregiver state what that was like. What was that like? Because all these caregivers out here really, like I said in one of my other shows, you guys are the catalyst. But being a caregiver for your own mom, I can only imagine what that feels like. Talk a little bit about that status.
It was hard. It was difficult, because one time I remember her coming over there and spending the night, and just up all night, almost just talking. And of course, I didn't feel comfortable going to sleep, leaving her up, but she would bring up the old stuff growing up. parents of, I used to tell her, Mom, you're going to be so tired in the morning. Okay, I'm going to go to sleep. She'll close her eyes and doze off maybe for about 30 minutes. And then she was back up again. So, of course, I didn't get no sleep. So the next day, she'd pretty much be sleeping, trying to make up from the time that she didn't sleep at night.
Wow, wow, that's a huge. That's just to be able to have to adjust with that and the schedule that you had to like go forth with. I'm sure it was tough, but the fact that you guys did take her right away, you took her in to get the diagnosis, and it happened. And now at this point, when you're going forth as a caregiver, is it more so just roll with her how she is in that state of mind, or should you correct, should you argue or not? I mean, what did you not do and what should you do when
I
in
would
that state?
Yeah, I would tell anybody because my friend had already warned me. She would tell me, I deal with patients like this at night. And she said, Lily, it's unbelievable. I don't want to be that way. And I said, just seeing my mom that way, she was always the type working in the yard, beautiful flowers and everything. And not to be able to pull up to her house and see her out there in the yard, where it was very, very difficult. I would tell anybody you have to have patience for them because it's not their fault. Sometimes I watch programs on TV and I'm just amazed on how people get on there and say it takes a lot to be a caretaker for people like my mom, you know?
Wow. Yeah, I can only imagine. And that's tough. So okay, so kind of when time went on, it said 5 years, but when time went on, where now you start to see moments where now mom is almost at that last stage. Before she passed away, talk about a little bit about prior to that and how that went and how she actually passed away.
Well, I had the day that she had passed away, I had no idea that she was leaving. I had told my sister, I called and I said, I want to talk to mom. She said she's asleep, but I'll put the phone on her ear. And she knew what I said, Mom, this is Lily. She said, Oh, hi, Lily. Hi, baby. How you doing? I said, Mama, you sound so tired. She said, Well, I didn't sleep good last night. I am tired. And I said, Well, you know what? I'm going to call you back later, or when I can call you when you wake up. And she said, I love you, Lily. I said, I love you too, Mom. Not knowing a few hours later, my phone just kept ringing. I was trying to figure out, I was in the grocery store, couldn't figure out why my sister in law kept calling me. And then finally, I get on the phone and she says, Did you hear the news? And I said, What news? She said, Mom is gone. And I'm thinking she's saying that she's going over somebody's house because she never really visited in that condition. The doctor was saying it was best that you wouldn't move her around. That's not good for them. And I said, Gone like what? And she said, She's dead. And I just couldn't believe I had a panic attack, was screaming. I drove all the way to LA, shaking. My kids were scared. By the time I got there, all I could do was just shake her and say, Mom, wake up, wake up. I was just like in shock because I had just talked to her a few hours before it happened. So it's a very difficult moment. I tell anybody, cherish your mom while you have, and your dad, you know?
And enjoy the moments while they're here, while we're here. And the greatest thing about that, as a takeaway here, is you guys jumped on it. You get, she it could have been a lot earlier, but you guys did your part and you got help. You sought help. You saw the early signs, and you moved on the early signs. And I think that's what, if I'm right, people need to notice early signs and not say, "Oh, it's just something's going on. She'll be okay." But to act right on those early signs, correct?
You have to. You have to. And I know my friend said, Lillian, I know it hurts you when she call you Amber, but you just go with the flow. Sometimes it was kind of difficult, I'm not gonna lie, because I would say, Mom, I'm Lillian, not Amber. And then she'd sit there for a minute. She said, Okay, Lily, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna just let her think that I'm Amber. After a while, my friend said, You have to, Lillian, and be patient. And I'll tell anyone you have to be patient. They maybe accuse you of stealing or doing other stuff that you know you didn't do. You just have to play it off because they're not in their right state of mind.
Wow. No, so let's talk about a fond memory within those 5 years. We talked about it, and I'm gonna let you share with your audience something that you remember, that you just like smile about and say, wow, that was deep. My mom made this happen. So it's something about before you went to school and so forth. Share with the audience about that fond memory.
Yes, my mom was very, very religious. She would get up in the morning while we were getting dressed to read the Bible to us. And my father used to say, "You're going to make them late for school." So as we're leaving, walking down the driveway, my mom will be following us with the Bible saying, "Remember this Bible verse. Don't forget it. Go to school and have a good day." That's what she would say. And I said, you know what? We took that very lightly, but if I had my mom back now, whoo, I don't know what I would do. I wish somebody said, if you had a dream, what would you want? I said, my mom to be here with me, seeing my kids as they grow up.
Wow, wow, that's so great. Now moving on, you look like you're fine, and I'm sure you're passing along to others what I'm talking about, awareness, and so the key, pretty much like you said, for caregivers is, and if I remember, they're going to get feisty, they're going to accuse you, and but you got to be what, patient, and what else?
Kind. You got to be kind to them. Trust me, you do. Because nowadays, a lot of people say, how do, like some of my friends say, how did you guys handle your mom? You guys never thought about putting her in a home. No, my mom had 13 kids. So it was no way we were going to put my mom in a home. And sometimes even now with my kids, I tease them. I said, you never know how mom is going to be when she get older. So I said, I hope and pray that you guys will never
Mm,
put me in a home. And one of my daughters teased me. She said, Mom, but I don't know if I can handle changing your diapers and all that. I said, man, I changed your diapers when you were younger. Yeah, but that was different. You grown. I said, yeah, you just saying that for now. My son said, well, you know what? Nobody's gonna put my mom in a home over my dead body. When
mm,
anybody put my mom. So I would tell anybody, hire somebody to come into your home and help you. These homes are not going to treat
mm.
your family like you would treat them and give them the love that they need in their little last stage, you know?
Wow. And that's you. So I'm gonna ask you. So did she ever say, not knowing where her destiny was, but did she ever tell you, baby, if something ever happens to me, do not put me in a home? Did you hear that
Oh, because she
before?
know we wouldn't do that. No, because she knew we wouldn't do that to her, you know? I used to say I would quit my job before I let my mom go into a home. My sister that she lived with, she never worked while she had my mom. So that was a blessing for her and her family to take my mom in.
Okay. Wow. Well, I want to thank you. Excellent. I'm sure many, many millions out there is going to be blessed by your story, as have in the past with the other stories on dementia and Alzheimer's and vascular. But one thing I'm always going to say is continue doing what you're doing. It worked. Don't change. And God has got you, and God has blessed you. Is there anything that you want the audience to know?
That's
Anything else that's on this? Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, Miss Lillian, for coming
it.
on.
Yeah.
Treasure that. I treasure that moment. And if you need anything, make sure you contact the show, and we'll do the best we can to help you. So there you
Okay.
heard from Miss Lillian Granger, whose mom was dealing with dementia and passed on, and she lived to be 100 years old, which was the blessing behind that. But again, you heard her. Jump on these early signs. Don't ignore them, love on them, and they are people too. And continue to bring awareness, as I'm doing on this show, to dementia and any other topic. So that's my role at the Kid Taylor Talk Show, is to bring awareness. But again, you heard her story. If you have a story such as hers, please, please contact me. You don't have to come in the studio, but you can come on the screen and talk about it, because there are people that would love to hear your story. There are people that do not know how to deal with it. They don't know the first steps, but to hear someone else's story really helps. So I will continue. on this show to help people as I was called to do. So thank you all for tuning in. God bless you. Until next time, peace out.